Welcome to the ATD Florida Suncoast chapter, where we are supporting the talent development community by shaping the future of work, providing a sense of belonging, building meaningful connections, and inspiring our members to grow and give back.
All right, so thanks so much for joining our vibe coding session. It's going to be a very informal session today, just kind of walking you through some of the tools that I use to create things like websites, web apps, as well as ID projects and portfolio pieces. So there's a lot of different use cases, and I won't get into coding today. If you like to write code, this is probably not the session for you. This is just how to actually build something quickly with GenAI. So I'm going to share my screen, and you can actually walk along with me on your end as well. I'll show you a couple different apps that I use to do some vibe coding. All right, so first things first, before I dive into the tool itself, I wanted to show you a real world example of a recent project that I built. I've used this for a couple different clients as well as for my own portfolio website. So if you go to notanotherbritney.com, that's me. There's a lot of Brittany's out there. I am one of them. But this is actually an entire website that I created very, very rapidly just using vibe coding. I am a web developer. I can write code, but I didn't want to for this project. So I think from start to finish, this entire site, what you see here on the screen took about an hour. Just from ideation through the final output, and then to go in and add the individual portfolio pieces. These are working links. That took a little bit longer, so I'd say it maybe took 3 to 4 hours total. So over the course of an afternoon, I went from idea to a full working website with multiple pages. So that just gives you an idea of how rapidly we can get these projects up and running with AI. There's a couple different tools that I use to do this. One of them is for Cell. That is a tool that I used to use all the time for rapid AI-assisted vibe coding, which is, for those who aren't familiar with that term, that's just where we have the AI write the code for us. We don't have to go in and learn how to code. But this tool, I think, has recently started charging. So that's why I've kind of pivoted away from it. It used to be free. You used to be able to do everything directly in the cloud for free, but I think it does charge now. So one of the ones that I've pivoted to is called lovable.dev. And I will actually also put this in chat. This is the one that I recommend that you use today for the session. I'm going to walk through all of the features. This one is still free, so you only have to pay for it if you use it a lot. And I've used it quite a bit and still have not had to pay them anything. You get so many credits for free when you sign up. This is also one that I know a lot of IDs use. I know we've got members in our ATD local community who use this, as well as Tim Slade, who's a bit better known, more broadly. He's actually the one that told me about this tool. So this is something I have pivoted to. It should be free to sign up. So when you go to that link that I just pasted in chat, which is lovable.dev, you can sign up with a username and password, and you should see something that looks kind of like this. I'll show you a few projects that I have built in here just so you can kind of see what's possible. So like I mentioned, my website is one of them. That's my portfolio. But I also have client projects that I have mocked up during the design thinking or ideation phase. So I want to share just the disclaimer that I don't recommend necessarily using this for a final client project. I think that it should be something that we use for ideation, but then go back to the client and tweak, make sure that you're not plagiarizing any work, as GenAI tends to hallucinate and plagiarize sometimes. But as far as design thinking, helping the client see kind of the idea that you have for the project, it can be a really quick way to get that up and running. And so again, this is one example that I did for a client. Yeah, was there a question? Nope. Okay. I thought I heard someone say something. But this is one example. I think this took about, I don't know, it might have taken like 30 minutes. I'd say less than an hour just to build this start to finish, just to show the idea to the stakeholders. And you can see right here, this is an example of the actual prompt that I used for this one. What I would recommend that you do if you are building something during today's call, think about websites or projects that look really good and that you are inspired by. And you can actually tell the AI to use that as an inspiration for whatever you are building. So you can see right here, this use case that I've got on the screen, I was inspired by monks.com, which is a really, really cool company that does like virtual reality, extended reality. They have a lot of interaction on their web pages. So I told the AI to go out and look at that site first as an inspiration. And then I gave it my use case and told it the content that I wanted it to put in there. What I like about Lovable is that it will go out to the website that you tell it, but it doesn't plagiarize or copy the website. So it does truly use it as inspiration. But if you go to monks.com right now, you can see that it didn't grab their layout. It's not stealing any of their stuff. It's just kind of looking at what they're doing as inspiration. And so that is something that I'm always mindful of because I don't want to plagiarize other people's stuff. So that's kind of what I've done for each of these projects. I think with Not Another Brittany, when I was designing it, I used Apple. I really liked Apple's layout, and there might have been another Google layout that I told it to look at as well. So I start by telling it what the design inspiration is. Then I tell it the instructions for what I'm building and what I want it to look like. I do see something in chat here, so let me just double check and see what we've got. Oh, yeah, totally fine, Carrie. Yeah, no worries. If you want to be off camera, if you want to be on mute, please feel free to do whatever you need to do. So now that we've looked at a couple examples, I do want to share an example of a prompt that you could plug in to build something similar to what I've shared here on screen. So, I mean, it could be something really simple. I'll share this in chat just so you guys can see an example prompt here. This one was a very short prompt that I used. You can be just as basic as this, like saying, hey, go out to my existing website or my existing project and redesign it, but make it look more like this site or inspired by XYZ URL. I will share that with the caveat of if you do it that way, you're going to have to tweak the design a little bit more because it probably won't be 100% what you're looking for right up front. So I did have to do that here. So I pasted the prompt down in the bottom left corner, and then AI gave me an idea. And then you can just talk back and forth with the AI. Like I asked it, hey, can you add a second row to the featured projects? Can you add a case study page? Can you have a view all work button so that people can actually view everything that I've done? So you can talk back and forth to the AI just like you would with ChatGPT, with Gemini, and it will think about it. And you can see here, it took it about 11 seconds. And then it built all of that out, which is much, much faster than if I had tried to do that myself. I also asked it questions. So I had some questions about the design. I was having trouble finding specific pieces or changing certain things. So I said, hey, what file did you put XYZ in? Or where can I find the case studies? So you can ask it questions. And again, just like ChatGPT, Gemini, all of the GenAI that you probably use, it will answer you and it will give you guidance. If you're a coder, there are ways to go in and edit the code as well. I won't show you all of that on this call. That's a bit bigger than the scope of today's session. But it will walk you through if you decide that you want to make edits and customize the code. It's pretty easy to do so. And the AI will also walk you through how to do that. So that's one example. I would say, though, that for today, what I would actually recommend doing is a little bit of a longer prompt, because the more detail that you give it up front, the better the project is going to look and the quicker it's going to be done. So you can see with like this case study example, I actually gave it quite a long prompt. You don't have to do one that's, you know, quite this long, but I gave it a lot more detail about who the client is, what they're doing, the scope of this project, my audience. So I actually went into a lot more detail here, as you can see. So that's something that I would recommend doing if you're maybe building out a case study or a portfolio project. Give it as much detail as you can because it's going to incorporate that into your design that it's creating for you. You can also give it word for word text that you want it to include, like things like this. I would just type in the exact sentence. Otherwise, it's going to come up with something for you, but you might need to ask it to make tweaks or changes. So I find that sometimes front loading that information can actually speed up the process. So that's just an overview of the process. I do want to jump in though and give you all some time to just experiment if you would like to build anything today on the call. Before I do that, I want to pause and just see what questions you have about this tool or about the process that I've been using to vibe code these websites. So any questions so far?
I've got one, Brittany. So,
Yeah,
you already had a website, so a
yeah,
pre-existing website. So this is a revision of that.
yes.
Okay. So could one build one from scratch?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I've built websites and web apps as well as portfolio pieces from scratch. If you're doing that, your prompt is going to look slightly different from what I put into chat. It would actually look more similar to the prompt that I just showed you that was a bit longer on the screen.
Mhm.
So I would say, instead of redesign, not another Brittany, I would say, design like an instructional design portfolio website based upon XYZ. Like you could say apple.com. And I'll put this into chat just in case anyone wants to experiment with this. But the other thing you want to do, if you're designing something from scratch, not redesigning an existing project, is you want to tell it more details so it knows the audience, it knows a little bit about the industry and about you and your background. You might even, if you have verbiage written out that you want it to include, you could paste that in there. Let's see, would this be useful if I want to convert my WordPress portfolio to GitHub? You could, yeah, you could use it for something like that. I think by default, it is using React as the coding language. And I'm not as familiar with Markdown on GitHub, so you just want to make sure that you can upload React to GitHub and have it hosted there. But yes, you can absolutely convert WordPress. That's actually exactly what I did with Not Another Brittany. I had it on WordPress originally and wanted to move away from WordPress. So I used GenAI, vibe coded it in React, and moved it to a different web server. So it's no longer WordPress. That's a great use case, Edward. If you've got other questions or if you even just want to chat about that offline, I'd be happy to share the process that I used for that. Yeah. Let's see. So if we're doing like, Ken, like you mentioned, just doing a brand new site, I think the first stem that you want to put into the AI is what actual website it's inspired by and letting it know that it's a brand new site, but then also giving it a few more details about like who's the audience, what industry are you in, what is your background, and if there's specific verbiage that you want it to use. So a little bit more detail up front, but I find that it saves us time in the long run because we don't have to talk back and forth to the AI to get it to tweak things. There is a particular AI prompting or Gen AI prompting framework that I use. I typically will like provide the context. I think it's called CIDI Framework, or you can also use Craft Framework, which is another good one for prompting AI. So I'll provide the context. I'll tell the AI what its role is and what it's doing. And then I usually give it some specific examples as well. So yeah, I think if you want to start just kind of playing around, those are some things that you can do in here. Um, Let me see if I've got an example. I think this one I did the least back and forth with the AI, but I did have quite a long prompt to start with. So you can kind of see the length of the prompt that I used for that one. Hey, Carrie, did you got something here?
No, I was just researching the two different
Yes.
frameworks. And so I found a URL and I was like, I'll share it in case anybody else wants to see that.
Love
So
it.
I'm going to find one for CD if I can and share it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Craft Framework, this one I've used a lot just at the enterprise level, and it's really good. I typically do have good results with this. Let's see, does this one have a breakdown? Trying to see the breakdown of the steps here so that you guys could use it. Yeah, it doesn't have it on the homepage immediately, but essentially craft is short for like context, role, audience, and then I forget what the F and the T stand for. T is task. I forget what F stands for. But you essentially tell the AI the context of what you're doing, what its role is going to be. In this case, it's designing a web page or portfolio project. You do want to tell it your audience for your site or your project. And then the T is the task. So, hey, I need you to build a web page that does XYZ or that looks like apple.com. So it will go ahead and generate that for you. And you can just kind of see what it looks like. So I'll do a quick new project. Hopefully I got some credits left and I can actually show you what that might look like. Based on, let's do apple.com. They usually do have really clean designs. Design me a web page. Let's do web page for, do we want to do like an L&D portfolio site? What you guys think?
I think I've heard a lot of people talking about portfolio sites. And if you just,
Portfolio? Yeah.
that'd be good. Unless somebody else has another idea.
And I'll say a variety of adult learning and K-12 projects. I did see something in chat, so let me just see if anyone, oh, okay. No worries, Carrie. Yeah, I think we we have an overview of craft. I'll follow up after this call and I'll post some resources into the Huddle channels so that we can all explore those frameworks a little bit more. So yeah, I'm going to say based on apple.com, design me a web page for a learning and development portfolio showcasing a variety of adult learning and K-12 projects. I'll say my audience will be recruiters and hiring managers looking for a senior level instructional designer. Unless anyone has a specific job role that you want me to frame this for, I'm happy to do that as well. And then, yeah, I think that's probably the direction that I'm going to target. Anything else, any other details or specific verbiage that you guys want me to add to this before I hit enter? No? All right, let's do it. Let's see what it comes up with. So it's going to get ready. It says it's looking at the design patterns on Apple right now. It's also researching the audience needs. So this usually takes maybe a couple seconds to a minute at the most. I will say one other thing that I would probably do if this were a real project that I was actually working on is I would think about my verbiage and my text. I'd research the audience and some of the job roles that these hiring managers are trying to fill. And I would try to make sure that I'm using those specific words or phrases throughout the web page. Typically, I do include that in the initial prompt just because I don't want to have to go back and tweak it later, but you can always tweak it later as well. So this says it's building a sleek Apple-inspired portfolio. It's going to be minimalist. It's going to have a lot of white space. So if you're familiar with Apple and the way that they design things, it's going to look very similar. See, it's telling me the colors it's using, the design direction, and now I can see that it's actually building out the code. So again, if you are a coder, you can see the code, you can download it, you can edit it locally. You can also move it to your own hosting server, which is what I did for my website. So Eddie, if that's something that you're interested in, I think it's over here. I think once it generates the code, it'll be up here with these icons. Yeah, the code's right there. So you will unfortunately have to download each individual page that it generates, Eddie, when you move it over. That's the only downside is you have to individually go in and download those. But you can edit this code and then move it over to your hosting server if you want to do it that way. For anyone else that's not a coder, you can actually just leave this hosted on lovable.dev. So it will host the project for you. I think there's also a way to go in and give it a custom domain name so you don't have to move anything, but you can just kind of keep it where it is if you don't want to go in and edit code or move it to a host. Do you know if this works with Wix? I don't know that this works with Wix. The reason for that, Jen, is because the type of code that it's writing is called React. And I don't know that Wix uses React. It's more of a like do-it-yourself type of platform. So my understanding is that this would not be compatible, but you could potentially use it to inspire the way that you build out your layout on Wix. Yeah, that's a very good question. So we can see here that took, I don't know, maybe like a minute for it to come up with something. There are a few things that I would probably change about the design, just kind of looking at it. I'd love to get an image in there. I'd probably change some colors if this was a portfolio site that I was making for myself. So if so, I would just type, down here in Lovable, can we change the header or the title color, I'd say font color, to, I don't know, I'm going to say magenta. Let's just say what it does. And then can we also add a full width stock image across the top of the web page, featuring, say, an instructor teaching students? It may come back and tell me that we can't. I don't know. It's worth trying. So you just kind of have a conversation with it, just like you would with ChatGPT or Gemini, and it will go in and start tweaking the design. So yeah, we can kind of see that right here. This is everything it came up with. It is a very clean layout. I do like the way that it is structuring the page. And then again, if we need to tweak anything, we can always ask the AI and it will make those changes for us. Like this is a section where I'm thinking we might tweak this a little bit. That's a lot of text, especially for a recruiter, if they're just scanning a web page. So this might be a good section for us to also have the AI make some changes. But otherwise, pretty clean design, very, very quick. As you can see, it just took a couple minutes and we have this layout. Let's see, so it's done. All right, let's see if it actually, oh, it did. Okay, cool. So yeah, while I was talking to you, it went in, it added, and I think it just used AI to generate this example image. I see that it didn't quite make that change that I asked it to make though with the color. So just like we sometimes see with other Gen AI, it doesn't always get it right. Sometimes it hallucinates or it overlooks some of our suggestions. So again, this is just where we would work back and forth with the AI to get it to actually make those changes that we requested. If you're like me and you know how to code, sometimes it is easier and quicker to just go into the code and make those changes yourself. So it's really up to you. But yeah, that's just a quick overview of how we can use this tool to build something really, really fast and make changes. I will say Tim Slade has an excellent YouTube video on this specific tool, which again is lovable.dev. I can't recall how long the video is, but he goes into all of the details of how we use this and how we can build projects start to finish. So if you're looking for a very in-depth tutorial on all of the features geared for an L&D or instructional design audience, that's a really good video. I do recommend checking out his tool or his video. So I'm going to pause there because we just had a chance to kind of build a working project start to finish. I imagine you all might have some questions though. So what other questions do you have?
So, Brittany, now that you have this, let's just say it's where we want it to be, right?
Sure.
And then what? Like we have to, what you're talking earlier, you have to copy the page over to your server?
Not necessarily. You've got a couple different options. So you do want to publish that page. And For most people on this call, if you're not a coder, if you just want to have something that you can show to the world, but you don't want to touch any code or move things over to a hosting server, what I would recommend is just using, you can actually host it here on Lovable, and you can create a custom link so that people can access it. It generates something, so it's generated some random words here, but I can go in and edit this. So I could say like ATD vibe coding demo, something like that. If you're just making a portfolio website, I would just have it be your name, .lovable.app, and it will host your portfolio for free on their public website. And then if I accept this, this becomes a link that I can then share with people. So let me paste this into chat, and we'll see if you all can actually see this after I publish it. Lovable.app. Looks like that's going to be the link. Let me go ahead and publish it, and we'll see. I'm going to keep it public because I do want you to be able to see it. If this is a portfolio, I would want recruiters and hiring managers to see it. And it also gives you the option to change little things about the site, like this icon that shows up in the top left. You can actually swap that out. You can also change what it says in the address bar up here. So let's say ATD Vibe Coding Demo is going to be the title of this project. And so it just gives us a preview here. This is the URL. We're going to let anyone access it. It does say that we need to add a little bit more info. I'm just for demo purposes, I'm going to go ahead and publish so that you guys can see it. But if this were a real website, I would definitely fill all of that out. And we're going to wait for it to publish. Looks like it might have done it. So I'm going to put this link into chat, and then hopefully, looks like it might still be trying to load there. So I'm not completely sure if this is going to be, yeah, it's still trying to publish it. So once this gets done, you all should be able to access that link, and you should be able to view the project. I did see some questions in chat here. Is it responsive on mobile and printer friendly and accessible? Those are great questions. I do believe that this should be responsive. Let me actually test that out. I do see that it is resizing a bit. Looks like there's a little bit of a lag time there, but it is resizing. And same thing with like my website. Oops, not my notebook.
It just finished publishing, by the way.
Did you say it did finish publishing?
I'm looking at it now.
Oh, good. Excellent. So it works. Yes. So it had, you saw there's a little bit of a delay for publishing, but it's not too bad, just a couple minutes. And then to answer that question, it should resize. Are you all able to see me resizing the Not Another Brittany site on your screen? Is that sharing?
I'm seeing the designing learning experiences right now.
Okay, you only see that one. Let me resize this one so that you guys can see it. Are you able to see it as it resizes on your end? Maybe not.
No.
No,
Okay.
unless there's a delay or something. I don't know. I'm on my phone.
Let's see. I may not be able to show on the Zoom screen share, but if you open it like on mobile, it should automatically resize to fit that device. I've tried opening it in a few different size browser tabs on my desktop, and it does seem like it's resizing. So I can't guarantee that it will 100% respond to every single mobile device because there is a lot of code that goes into that, but it should overall try to resize the content to fit on different size devices. So it's got some of that built in already. Print friendly is an interesting question though, because I've not tried actually printing the content. I'm just checking that out with mine. It looks like it does actually have a print version. I wouldn't say that it's perfect, but that's really interesting that they've got that built in. So I could print this page if I wanted to. I've had some clients recently that the learners wanted the project to be print friendly. So that's good to know that they do have that built in at least somewhat. And then if you know how to code, you could go in and tweak that even more. Is it accessible? That's another great question. I've actually not tested that one. I know when I build websites, I usually do try to make them at least screen reader accessible, making sure that everything has alt text and all of that good stuff. So I can just double check that real quick. Yeah, I will have to go in and look and see in the code if it's generating code that is screen reader accessible by default. If not, I might actually have to go in and make a few more tweaks to my website to make sure that it is. So those are really good questions, Eddie.
Could that also be part of your what do you call it? Your initial instructions on the dev site where you're typing the AI
Yeah,
instructions?
actually, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Consider WCAG, whatever the level is, and
Yep.
printers and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. Let me see if I type that in, what the AI says. So can you make this website printer friendly, mobile responsive, and compliant? I'm going to say compliant to WCAG standards. For those that don't know, that is just accessibility standards that most websites are held to. I'm going to get a little bit more specific though and say including screen reader accessibility, because that's a little bit more specific and that's really the big one that I'm most interested in. I'm curious. I don't know what the AI is going to say, but we'll ask it and we'll see what it says here. So yeah, it looks like it's going to do it. It's doing a multi-step process here. It's going to add the print styles, improve the responsiveness. Like I said, it's already kind of responsive. It's doing a decent job, but it looks like it's going to improve that and then see if it can add some screen reader, probably I'm guessing some alt text and things like that. So I'll be curious what it does here in the next few seconds.
It's looking pretty good on mobile. I mean, you can see,
Excellent.
but the image.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
can see that.
yeah, on the website, there's a lady to the left of her. So she's kind of cut
Yeah.
out, but overall, I mean, it looks. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah,
can
that's
see
not
it, but
bad.
yeah, it looks like it's sized properly. The margins look good. There's good white space.
Yeah, I remember when I built my website, I didn't have to spend a lot of time on mobile responsiveness. It seemed pretty good. And usually when you build a website, if you're coding it, that's one of the pieces that takes the longest is making sure it resizes to all of those different screens. So I can say it does try to build as much of that for you as possible. Um, yeah, and it's still going through, you can see it right now on my screen. It's still going through all of those different files, just making sure that there's little coding changes that it has to make to each one. I'm always happy to geek out over that if anyone wants. If you ever want to grab coffee and just talk through the code that it's generating, that's a bit outside of today's scope, but that's always something that we could do. So yeah, as you saw here, I don't know if you noticed, but on my screen, it did just refresh the page. So it's making changes to these pages in real time based on what we're typing in. So feel free, if you try this out, just ask it questions as you think of things and other features that you need, and it'll go in there and automatically do those. The other part to your question that you had earlier, Ken, is when we publish this. So I just published it to the web. I'm hosting it on lovable.dev. I don't plan on taking this particular website and moving it to my server and hosting it there. I'm just going to leave it on Lovable. It's free. I don't have to pay them to do that. But I know that some of us on the call have our own hosting servers. We want our own custom domain names, and we might know how to write code. So we might want to edit that code. So if that's your plan, if that's the end goal, instead of going to publish, you would just go over here to the code icon. So it's the second icon to the right of that preview button. I don't know if it appears on mobile, but that's definitely where it appears on desktop or laptop. And you can see here, like at this point, I can edit the code. It is written in React, which is a very user-friendly coding language. It's really easy to learn, but I don't recommend editing the code if you don't already know how to code. But you would need to download all of the files that appear in this left column. So what I did when I was moving my website, because I host notanotherbrittany.com on my server, I opened every single file. And over here in the far right on desktop or laptop, you will see a little download icon, and you'll need to save all of those files. You'll also need to maintain the folder structure that the AI has created. So you can see here it's created a source SRC folder that has, again, more subfolders and files inside of it. So just be very careful to, if you download their code, to keep that folder structure, because it's going to look for those same subfolders when you move it over to your server. But all I did was just download all of those. I created the subfolders to match what the AI had created. And then I went out to my hosting server and uploaded everything using that same structure, and it worked. It really didn't have a lot of issues. But again, I would not recommend doing that unless you already know how to code, or if you're willing to teach yourself how to code in React, because that's what this AI is using. And if you run into trouble, let me know, because I did go through that with my own portfolio site using this exact same tool. What we got here, another question. Where did you park your artifacts, like PDFs, links? Yeah, that's a great question, Jen. So you can actually, like I just mentioned, I have a hosting server that I use for my own projects. So that's one option. If you already have a hosting server, you could certainly upload them to your server. But if it's specifically like PDFs that you mentioned, you could just add those to Google Drive and then make it a public link so that anyone with the link can view it. So that's usually a pretty easy thing to do. The other thing that you could do, which is what I try to do with most of my client projects, is I actually pay for like a Google Buckets or an Amazon Web Services account, just because they're so cheap. I think it costs me like 3 pennies per month, and I can upload so many documents to those accounts. So that's what I would recommend if you're not comfortable hosting on Google Drive, or if you're out of space and you can't host things like PDFs on your Google Drive. Look into Amazon, look into Google. They all have these very cheap accounts where you can upload things. And I also know Tim Slade does have a YouTube video that walks you through. I know he covers the Google buckets for sure on his YouTube. Links to examples that you honestly, depending upon what type of example, Jen, you could probably just link out from the actual page that the AI creates, which is something that I don't know if I did that. I did that a little bit on my sites. Like if you go to Let's Chat, I've got it linking out to my LinkedIn. Same thing with Let's Connect. I wanted to make it really easy for people to contact me. So I just told the AI, here's my LinkedIn URL. Can you have these 2 buttons point to that URL? And it will go ahead and build that in for you. If you have a third-party project that's live, maybe you've worked on something for a client and you want to link out to it, it would be the exact same process. You would just tell the AI, please link this button to this project, and it would do that for you. If you're trying to build additional pages, that's a little bit heavier work. You could have the AI do that for you. That's what I did down here for these individual pages that for my clients, I didn't have permission to link to the actual client project. So what I did was I created something similar, and then I had AI generate individual pages for those projects so that the clients can still kind of see what I've been working on without me linking directly to something that's protected by an NDA, for example. This piece, if you go in this direction, Jen, it'll take a little bit of extra effort on your part, just because there are some additional tweaks that you'll need to make if you're building like a separate web page for a project, not linking out to something that's on the web. I don't know if I'll have time to cover that today, but we could always do like a follow-up session, or you and I could hop on a coffee chat and we could kind of talk through how you could build these out. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
It does. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Shannon, thanks so much for attending. Definitely let me know how it goes, and I'll be in the Huddle channel if you want to give us updates. I'd love to see screenshots of what you all are working on. I think it's fun, but I'm a nerd, so I can talk about this stuff all day. But I would love to see what you all work on if you experiment with this later. All right. I know we went just a few minutes over. We have a couple more minutes. I'm happy to stay on if anyone wants to talk through or screen share or just ask questions. No,
No,
Carrie,
this is super cool.
thank
Super
you.
cool,
Thanks,
Brittany.
Tim.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this at in Orlando, the training conference, and
Really?
I did go to one of these, um, and there were just problems. So I think there's like some
Oh,
kind of frustration, like we know it can be done, but we don't know
yeah.
how it can be done.
Yeah.
But you did a fantastic job of showing us step by step how to do it. So super cool.
Awesome. That was what I was hoping for. I was trying to give you something hands-on so that ideally you could walk away this afternoon and start applying this immediately if you want to. And again, I would absolutely love to see what you all build. If you start doing something and you get stuck, let me know. I'm also happy, like I said, to hop on a coffee chat and talk through any issues that you might encounter. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be intimidating, and you absolutely do not have to know how to code to be able to do this type of work. Yeah.
Very cool.
Carrie, I think I saw that you had a hand up earlier. Did you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm very baby steps in this. I've observed my husband who's doing stuff like you're doing. I'm like, wait, he's all over the place. He's building apps and websites all over. So like I hear about it, but I'm not in it. I'm trying to get myself in it. So this has been great for me to kind of get in it a little bit, I guess. One thing I was curious about, so I know I heard him, he was struggling like with a website, taking the website from, I think he's using, oh gosh, Claude, he was using Claude Code with Cursor, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was building a website and he was having issues getting it into WordPress or somewhere. I don't remember where it was. But he was saying that eventually he just was like, you're telling me all these things. What in the world should I do? Why is it not working? Da, da, da. And they were, and something happened to the point where it responded to him saying something like, well, if you just create a development server for me and give me the login information, like a test user or whatever, I can go build it for you. And he was like mind blown. And he said, okay. And he created like a test account and whatever, set it up, and it went and built it for him all through
Oh,
that. So I'm
wow.
curious, when you were saying about the file structure, is Lovable similar in the way that that could work, or is Lovable because it's kind of more user friendly for somebody like me and he's more of a coder like you? Like, is that something Lovable? Do you think Lovable would be able to do that as well, or is that a little bit, are they different in that regards? Do you know?
That's a great question. I do see that there's a cloud button here, so I'd be curious if that's similar to what he was using or what he was doing with Claude and Cursor. I'd say it's possible. I'd have to look into that a bit more. I honestly haven't looked into that because I'm middle of the road on AI. Like I use
Yeah.
it, but I don't give it 100% trust just
Yeah.
yet, and I've not given it access to my web servers.
Yeah.
Um, and also like as a coder, I'm totally fine with downloading everything and moving it over and then having full, like I actually have full control over the
Control.
code
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
But yeah, that's maybe something that Raphael and I could experiment with.
Well, it's just
But
like I don't
yeah,
totally get it, but it sounded similar to what he was like. There was
yeah,
something similar, so I wanted to ask, but it could be very different. So thank you so much. I appreciate
yeah,
it.
definitely. It's sounding like Dee probably gave the whatever app he was using. I think he said Claude and Cursor. He probably gave that access to his web server that he's hosting on. So I don't know. I'm just old school, I guess. I don't fully trust AI enough to give it access to my servers just yet. So I've been doing it the longer way, which is it writes the code, I download the code, I move the code over. If the code breaks or doesn't work, then I'll debug from there. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'd like to, next time we do a coffee chat, I'll have to pick Dee's brain about that too.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Um, Yeah, definitely. I think I saw something else in the chat here. Might this be useful for? Very cool. A bilingual church website that's in English and Russian. Yeah, I would imagine that you could probably tell it to translate or to create some sort of a functionality to switch between the two. What I have noticed though is that a lot of the translation apps still rely on Google Translate or similar. And so you might still run into cases where the translations might be wrong, right? So I think that's going to happen though, regardless of what technology we use. It's not necessarily that the AI will translate it wrong. It's just that we're limited in those translation engines that we can use.
The text is already there. It's already
Okay,
exists. So it's
perfect.
pre-existing text. It's
Yeah,
just it's horribly slow, especially on the admin side, just to update. So I just
yeah.
kind of got to thinking, oh wait, okay.
That's actually a really cool use case. I don't know how well this works with WordPress just because it is writing, so WordPress is PHP and this is writing React, so it's two different coding languages, but it might be worth just creating a project on here and seeing if you can get that to work a little bit more smoothly. The other thing is that, like I mentioned earlier, I left WordPress. This was a WordPress website, and I've completely redesigned it in React. And I no longer use WordPress at all. And I've been really happy so far. I've only had this up a couple months, but the performance has definitely improved. It's very quick and easy to edit. And I can't say that I miss WordPress.
Yeah,
So,
same here. I'm
yeah,
finding it to be too cumbersome and I just don't have the time.
yeah,
My own portfolio is like 2 years old. I haven't updated in so long.
yeah,
And the church website was like, oh my gosh, this admin is horrible, so slow. So just uploading
yeah.
pictures took several tries. I'm like, I give up. So
Exactly. Yeah, that is one of the things with WordPress. Like I found that I was not updating my previous portfolio because I just didn't want to go into the admin panel and mess with WordPress. You might even see like there may be some AI based alternatives to WordPress now that may be a little bit easier to update. I haven't tried those, but I would be surprised if something doesn't exist because that is something I hear from a lot of people is they're moving away from WordPress, looking for better alternatives, looking to do more of this Gen AI vibe coding, if you will. So that might be worth looking into just to see if that's a use case for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I'm definitely wanting to get
yeah.
more into AI and kind of get away from WordPress. So
Mm.
it's just a matter of just making the time to do it. I've got so many plates spinning right now. So
I definitely understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say if it ends up being a use case, you could certainly just move everything to React and just kind of host it yourself. The only question I would have though is if you have users at the church, like members who need to log in and upload things, or is it just one or two people?
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
right now, I think I and one other person are making updates, but I can't rule out that somebody else might need to or want to. So
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. The I would say that would be the only hesitation that I would have with recommending that to you is if you need an admin panel for other people who don't know how to write code so that they can update. It might be worth just searching and seeing if there's something similar that has those admin panel
or could
capabilities.
it generate a
Or
user guide for
yeah,
just say
yeah.
here's how to update this page or something, or if nothing else, have Claude study it and figure out how to come up with a user guide.
Exactly. And the other thing too is if you aren't hosting it, if it's not self-hosted, if you host it here on Lovable, then they could always just come in and tell the AI to update it. So they could say, "Hey, I need you to make this change on the homepage," and the AI could do it for them if they aren't as technical. So depending on your use case, I would just weigh those options. But it's possible that you might be able to use AI.
Okay, that's a thought. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
And most
yeah,
everybody speaks English, so I don't think I'll have to worry about translating from Russian to English instructions. But okay, cool. Good
yeah,
to know.
yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Thanks for sharing this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad that this was helpful. And like I said, if you all want to show me what you're working on later, or if you ever want to just meet up and have a coffee chat and brainstorm some ideas, I love this kind of stuff, and I'm always happy to hop on and brainstorm with you. Um, So yeah, we've recorded this. I don't know if you all had a chance to follow along, but Carrie and I will put the recording out there. I know a few other people weren't able to make it, so we'll make sure that everyone has the recording. Any other last minute questions, thoughts, ideas before I let you get back to lunch?
I gotta hop off, but thank you so much for sharing this. You've given me some ideas. So I'm looking for the recording link as well, because I have a very
Sounds
short
great.
memory.
Okay. Good luck with everything at work today, and thanks so much for hopping on.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
Eddie.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye
And I
now.
have to say really quick, everybody, too, that this is Brittany has done. Ken did one of these recently. Brittany did one. I think I might have done one at one point. This is open for everybody. So if you have something you want to share and just jump in the huddle sometime, be like, hey, I want to talk on this day and time about this. Let us know. We'll get it going. We'll pop it in there. We don't have to do the whole put it on the website and all the things out there. It can be part of our Slack community. So if you have anything you want to share, or you want to ask people in the huddle to share, we can do this on the side just through the huddle and the Slack channel. So please, this is not just board members to be presenting, or anybody can do this. So keep that in mind.
And we do have the Florida ATD has a Vibe Coding monthly event now. Did I see
Yep.
that too?
Yes. Yeah. And they have a Slack channel with an actual channel for that actual study group as well on their Slack channel. So yeah.
Excellent. I will have to drop into that one too. I'm excited.
I have to go. Thank you very much. This is very interesting.
Yep, super cool.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from the ATD Florida Suncoast chapter, subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit atdsuncoast.org.